I never thought I'd be the kind of man who checks bank statements at 2 in the morning. But there I was, December 10th, 3 weeks before Christmas, sitting in my cramped home office with nothing but the glow of my laptop screen and a growing sense that something fundamental had shifted in my world. My name's irrelevant. What matters is that I'm 38, work as a senior clerk at a mid-sized insurance firm in Manhattan, and until 6 hours ago, I thought I had a handle on my life. My wife, Veronica, that's what I'll call her, was supposed to be out with her girlfriends. Book club, she'd said. They met every other Tuesday at someone's house discussing whatever bestseller they'd picked up that month. The thing about lies is they're only convincing until they're not. It started innocently enough. I'd come home around 6:30, tired from a day of processing claims and dealing with angry clients who thought their water damage should be covered when they'd clearly filed the wrong paperwork. The apartment was quiet. Veronica's purse sat on the kitchen counter, abandoned beside a receipt from Bloomingdale's. She'd mentioned shopping earlier that week, something about holiday gifts. I loosened my tie and headed toward the bathroom, thinking about nothing more complicated than whether we had any cold beer left in the fridge. Our apartment has thin walls, one of those pre-war buildings in Queens where you can hear your neighbor's television through the plaster. The bathroom shares a wall with the living room, and as I reached for the door handle, I heard her voice, clear as day, laughing. "You should see his face when he opens his bonus check," she was saying, "like a kid at Christmas, every single time." I froze. The bathroom door remained closed, my hand suspended in midair. Another voice responded, female, one I didn't recognize. "Does he know you've been setting money aside?" "God, no." Veronica's laugh was sharp, almost cruel. "He thinks we have a joint account for everything. The man checks his balance maybe once a month. I've been skimming his quarterly bonuses for 2 years. Almost 40 grand sitting in an account he doesn't know exists." My hand dropped to my side. $40,000. I got 4 bonuses a year, March, June, September, December. They ranged from 3 to 6,000 depending on company performance. I'd always thought they went straight into our joint savings. We'd talked about it, planned for it. A down payment on a house someday, she'd said. Maybe a trip to Europe. "Smart girl," the other voice said. "What about New Year's? You still doing it?" There was a pause. Then Veronica spoke again, and the casual cruelty in her tone made my stomach turn. "New Year's Eve is mine. Mike's coming over while this one's at his company party. Right in our bed, just like we planned. And then divorce papers under the Christmas tree. I've already talked to a lawyer. With the account I've built up and what I can claim from the apartment, I'll walk away clean." The other woman laughed. "You're terrible. I love it." "Hey, I've done this twice before. I know how it works. Men like him, decent, boring, predictable, they never see it coming. And by the time they do, it's too late." I stood there for maybe 30 seconds, listening to them gossip about someone's coat, someone's new boyfriend, the usual meaningless chatter that had suddenly become background noise to the implosion of my marriage. Then I turned around and walked straight out of the apartment. I didn't slam the door, didn't announce myself. I just left, quiet as a ghost, and headed down to the parking garage beneath our building. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as I stood next to my car, a 7-year-old Honda Accord that had never given me a day of trouble. Veronica's car, a newer BMW sedan that she'd insisted we needed, sat 3 spots over. The rage hadn't hit me yet. I was operating on something colder, something more calculating. Her purse was still upstairs on the counter. I took the elevator back up, ears straining for any sound from the living room. They were still talking, their voices a murmur through the door. I grabbed her purse, expensive leather, probably $500, and brought it back down to the garage. Inside, I found her wallet, 3 lipsticks, a compact mirror, her phone charger, and an envelope tucked into the interior pocket. The envelope was worn at the edges, the kind that gets handled frequently. Inside were photocopies of 2 checks, both made out to Veronica under her maiden name, both from accounts I'd never heard of. The first was dated 4 years ago, before we'd even met. $22,000 from an account belonging to someone named David Pritchard. The second was from 3 years ago, another $18,000 from a Gregory Talbot, her ex-husband's. I'd known she was divorced, twice. She'd mentioned it on our 3rd date, matter of fact, like it was something everyone did. It didn't work out, she'd said with a shrug. We wanted different things. I'd been naive enough to believe her, to think that her past was just that. Past. But these checks told a different story. These were settlement checks, probably from divorce proceedings. And the fact that she'd kept photocopies suggested they weren't just sentimental keepsakes, they were trophies. I pulled out my phone and took pictures of both checks, making sure the account numbers were clearly visible. Then I put everything back exactly as I'd found it and returned the purse to the kitchen counter. The voices were still coming from the living room. I checked my watch. 7:15 p.m. Instead of going back inside, I went to my car and drove. There's a diner about 3 miles from our apartment. One of those 24-hour places with red vinyl booths and waitresses who've been working there since the Reagan administration. I ordered coffee I didn't want and opened my laptop. First, I logged into our joint bank account. We'd set it up 2 years ago when we got married, both of us with full access. I'd never questioned it. Why would I? We were partners. We were supposed to trust each other. The balance showed $68,412. That was our savings, our emergency fund, the result of 2 years of careful budgeting and my quarterly bonuses. Or so I'd thought. I opened a new tab and logged into my personal checking account, the one I'd had since college, the one I used for direct deposit from work. My December bonus had posted 3 days ago, $5,200. I'd told Veronica about it. She'd smiled and said we should move it to savings like we always did. Except when I checked the transfer history, I saw something different. On December 8th, 2 days after the bonus posted, there'd been a transfer of $5,200 to an account I didn't recognize. The routing number didn't match our joint savings. I went back through 6 months of statements. Every single bonus transferred within 48 hours to that same unknown account. March, $4,800. June, $5,200. September, $4,900. She'd taken everything. The waitress refilled my coffee. You okay, hun? I looked up at her. She was maybe 60, with kind eyes and the weathered face of someone who'd seen every kind of human drama play out in her booths. Just work stuff, I said. She nodded and moved on, and I went back to my laptop. New York has streamlined divorce filing. I know because I'd helped a coworker navigate it last year after his wife left him for someone she'd met at the gym. The state's e-filing system lets you submit initial paperwork online, and if you can prove fault, adultery, abandonment, cruel treatment, the process moves faster. I opened the New York court's website and found the form for an uncontested divorce filing. Then I changed my mind. This wasn't going to be uncontested. I clicked on the contested divorce option and started filling out information. Name, address, date of marriage, grounds for divorce. I paused at that last one. The drop-down menu offered several options: cruel and inhuman treatment, abandonment, adultery, imprisonment. I selected adultery and moved to the next page. The form asked for supporting evidence. I uploaded the photos of the checks, then wrote a brief statement. Respondent has concealed marital assets in a separate account under her maiden name, has admitted to ongoing extramarital affair, and has expressed intent to file for divorce while maximizing financial gain at petitioner's expense. Evidence includes overheard conversation and bank records showing systematic transfer of petitioner's income to hidden account. The form took 23 minutes to complete. When I clicked Submit, a confirmation page appeared with a case number and a notice that a court representative would contact me within 3 business days. It was 8:47 p.m. I'd been gone an hour and a half. Veronica probably thought I was working late. I often did, especially during year-end when everyone wanted their claims processed before the holidays. I ordered a burger I didn't eat and opened a new browser window. The routing number from the mysterious transfers led me to a regional bank in New Jersey. I couldn't access the account. I wasn't an authorized user. But I could see the bank's policies on joint accounts and transfers. According to their FAQ, any co-signer on an account could initiate transfers within daily limits. Our joint savings account had a daily transfer limit of $50,000. I logged back into the joint account and initiated a transfer of $68,000 to my personal checking account. The system flagged it as over the limit. I revised it to $50,000 and tried again. This time, it went through with a notice that the transfer would complete within 1 business hour. Then I set up a second transfer for the remaining $18,000, scheduled for the next morning at 9 a.m. At 9:52 p.m., my phone buzzed with a notification. The $50,000 had landed in my checking account. I paid for my coffee and burger and drove to the parking lot of a 24-hour FedEx office. Inside, I printed out every bank statement from the past 2 years, highlighting the mysterious transfers. I printed the photos of the checks. I printed the divorce filing confirmation. Everything went into a manila folder that I locked in my glove compartment. At 10:30 p.m., I called a real estate agent I'd worked with 3 years ago when Veronica and I were looking at apartments. Her name was Patricia, and she answered on the 3rd ring. "This is unexpected," she said. I could hear a television in the background. "Everything okay?" "I need to list my apartment," I said. "Tomorrow, if possible." There was a pause. "Tomorrow's Wednesday. I could probably squeeze in a walkthrough around noon. Are you and Veronica relocating?" "Just me. It's complicated." Patricia had been in real estate for 20 years. She knew complicated. "I'll need photos, a key for showings, and you'll need to sign a listing agreement. Can you do noon?" "I'll make it work." "All right, I'll text you the paperwork. We can get it on Zillow by tomorrow evening if you're serious about this." "I'm serious." After I hung up, I sat in the FedEx parking lot for a long time, watching late-night shoppers drift in and out of the CVS next door. The initial shock had worn off, replaced by a strange clarity. Veronica thought she was playing me. She thought I was the third in a line of men too stupid to see what was happening until it was too late. She was wrong. I drove home at 11:15 p.m. The apartment was dark except for the glow of the television in the bedroom. I could hear the familiar sounds of some crime drama Veronica liked to watch before bed. I went straight to the spare bedroom, my office, and closed the door. The checks had included account numbers. It took me 45 minutes of searching public records databases and social media, but I found them. David Pritchard lived in Westchester, worked as a financial analyst, and had remarried 18 months ago. Gregory Talbot was in Connecticut, owned a small construction company, and had 2 kids from his current marriage. I drafted an email to both of them. It was past midnight, but I didn't care. My name is irrelevant, but I'm married to your ex-wife, Veronica. I recently discovered she's been concealing assets from our marriage and planning to file for divorce while maximizing her financial gain. I've also learned she did something similar during your marriages. I have evidence suggesting she may have misrepresented financial information during your divorce proceedings. If you're interested in discussing this matter and potentially recovering assets that may have been obtained fraudulently, please contact me at this email address. I attached copies of the check photocopies and hit send on both emails. It was 12:47 a.m. when I finally went to bed. Veronica was asleep, or pretending to be. I lay there in the dark, listening to her breathe, and felt nothing but a cold, methodical determination to see this through. I woke up at 6, showered, and dressed for work like it was any other day. Veronica was still asleep when I left. I stopped at a Starbucks and checked my email on my phone. David Pritchard had responded at 5:32 a.m. I wondered if something like this might happen. She took $40,000 from our joint account 3 days before serving me with papers. I couldn't prove it in court because she claimed it was for medical expenses that never materialized. My lawyer said it wasn't worth pursuing. I'd be very interested in talking to you. Here's my number. Gregory Talbot's response came at 6:15 a.m., right as I was reading David's email. She did the same thing to me. Almost 30 grand vanished from our savings 2 weeks before she filed. I tried to fight it, but her lawyer buried me in paperwork until I gave up. If you have evidence that could prove a pattern, I want in. Call me. I sat in my car in the Starbucks parking lot and called David first. He picked up immediately. This is David. It's the person who emailed you about Veronica. He let out a long breath. I thought I was crazy. She was so smooth during our marriage, so perfect. And then one day she just wasn't. The money disappeared, she served me papers, and by the time I figured out what was happening, my lawyer was telling me to cut my losses. How long were you married? 3 years. Met her at a charity event, married 6 months later. Should have known it was too fast. He paused. What's your plan? I filed for divorce last night. I'm documenting everything. The hidden account, the transfers, all of it. And I'm talking to a lawyer today about fraud charges. If she's done this to 3 people, that's a pattern. I'll testify, David said immediately. Whatever you need. I'll sign an affidavit, appear in court, whatever. That woman took 2 years of my life and 40 grand. I want her to face consequences. I'll be in touch. Gregory was equally eager. My current wife warned me about Veronica, he told me. Said she had a bad feeling from day one. I didn't listen. Thought I was being paranoid. Turns out my wife was right. Did you try to pursue fraud charges? My lawyer said it would be hard to prove. She'd covered her tracks well enough that it looked like legitimate expenses. But if you've got documentation of her doing it multiple times, he trailed off. That changes things. That's evidence of intent. I'll send you details as I have them. Can you get in touch with your divorce lawyer? Ask them if they'd be willing to review the case again with new evidence. Already texting him. I hung up and called my office. Told them I had a family emergency and would be working remotely for the rest of the week. My supervisor, a woman named Janet, who'd been with the company for 30 years, Didn't ask questions. Take care of whatever you need to, she said. Let me know if you need more time. Patricia, the real estate agent, arrived at the apartment at noon, just as promised. Veronica was at work. She managed a boutique in Soho, the kind of place that sold $800 handbags and cashmere scarves. I'd taken a sick day. This is a nice place, Patricia said, walking through the rooms with her tablet, taking photos. Good location, decent square footage. We should be able to move it quickly if you price it right. Price it to sell fast, I said. I don't care about maximizing profit. She gave me a look that was somewhere between professional discretion and genuine concern. You sure you want to do this? Positive. We signed the listing agreement at my kitchen table. I'll have it on Zillow by 5, she said. You'll need to be prepared for showings as early as tomorrow. That's fine. My wife doesn't know yet. Patricia paused at the door. I'm not going to ask, but be careful, all right? These things can get messy. They already are. After she left, I drove to a BMW dealership in White Plains. Veronica's car was 2 years old with 38,000 miles. I'd co-signed the loan because her credit wasn't great. Something about late payments during her second divorce that had dinged her score. The loan was in both our names, which meant I had as much right to the car as she did. The salesman, a guy named Rick with slicked back hair and a smile too wide for his face, greeted me enthusiastically. Looking to trade up? Looking to sell. How quickly can you take it? He walked around the car, checking the exterior, popping the hood. Clean title? Yes. Service records? Everything's documented. Regular maintenance at your service center. Rick nodded. I can have our used car manager take a look right now. If the numbers work, we could have a check for you by end of day. Perfect. The used car manager offered me $22,000. The loan balance was $19,000. I took the deal, signed the paperwork, and had them cut a check for the difference. Then I called an Uber to take me back to the apartment. At 3:47 p.m., my phone buzzed with an email notification. The subject line read, Re-inquiry about V. Henderson. The sender was unfamiliar, an address I didn't recognize. I opened it. You don't know me, but I'm the sister of someone you should know about. My brother is Mike Brennan. He's been seeing your wife for about 4 months. I found out by accident. He left his phone at my place and I saw messages when it buzzed. I wanted to warn you, but I didn't know how to reach you until I saw your divorce filing. I work as a paralegal at the courthouse. I've been documenting their conversations. Mike's an idiot and thinks he's in love. Veronica's been telling him she's leaving you and that she's been setting aside money for them to start fresh. I recorded a conversation between her and Mike at my apartment last week. She didn't know I was home. If you want the recording, let me know. I'm sick of my brother being a piece of garbage, and I'm even more sick of watching her manipulate him. My name is Sarah. Here's my number. I read the email 3 times. Then I called the number. A woman answered. This is Sarah. You sent me an email about Mike and Veronica. Yeah, she sounded tired. Look, I know this is weird, but my brother's going to ruin his life over this woman, and she's clearly done this before. I saw the filing. 3 marriages? 2 divorces. I'm the 3rd. Right, sorry, she paused. I have an audio recording from last Tuesday. They were at my place while I was supposedly at work. I came home early because I forgot my laptop. They didn't hear me come in. I stood in the hallway and recorded about 10 minutes of conversation on my phone. It's bad. How bad? She's planning to file for divorce right after New Year's. She told him she's been saving money from your bonuses and that she'll have enough to put down on a condo for them. She also said she's done this twice before and knows exactly how to maximize what she gets. My jaw clenched. Can you send me that recording? I can do better. I'll testify. If this goes to court, I'll show up and say what I heard. Mike's my brother, but what he's doing is wrong. What she's doing is worse. Why are you doing this? Sarah was quiet for a moment. Because I'm tired of people getting away with treating other people like they're disposable. And because someone should have warned you before you married her. Consider this me trying to balance the scales. Send me the recording. Give me your email. The audio file arrived 10 minutes later. I listened to it in my car, parked in the apartment garage. The sound quality was muffled, but the voices were clear enough. Mike's voice. How much longer do we have to sneak around? Veronica's voice, light and playful. Just a few more weeks. I need to time this right. I'm filing right after the holidays. He'll be at his company New Year's party until at least midnight. You'll come over around 10. We'll have the place to ourselves. And then I'll serve him papers on Christmas morning. That's cold. It's practical. I've already talked to a lawyer. With what I've saved and what I can claim from joint assets, I'll walk away with at least 70 grand. Maybe more if I can prove he was neglectful or emotionally abusive. Mike laughed. Was he? Does it matter? No one's going to ask him. They'll ask me, and I'll cry and say he worked all the time and made me feel alone. Same thing I did with David and Greg. You're terrible. I'm efficient. And after this, we can get a place together, somewhere nice, maybe a condo in Jersey City with a view of the city. I stopped the recording. I'd heard enough. At 5 p.m., Patricia texted me. Listing is live on Zillow. Already have 2 inquiries about showings tomorrow. I responded, Great. Let me know when. At 5:47 p.m., I received an email from David Pritchard. My lawyer reviewed everything. He thinks we have a case for fraud if we can prove she systematically misrepresented financial information during divorces. He's willing to file a motion to reopen my divorce case with the new evidence. Gregory's lawyer is on board too. We're talking about a joint civil suit for fraud and financial misconduct. If she's done this to all 3 of us and we can prove she planned it, she could be looking at criminal charges. I forwarded him Sarah's recording and the documentation of the hidden account transfers. At 6:20 p.m., Veronica came home. I was sitting at the kitchen table with my laptop open. She breezed in carrying shopping bags, designer stores, expensive logos. Hey, babe, she said, setting the bags on the counter. How was your day? Productive, I said. She kicked off her heels and stretched. I'm exhausted. Everyone's doing last-minute shopping and the store was a zoo. She opened the refrigerator. Did you eat? I was thinking we could order Thai. I'm not hungry. She glanced at me, something flickering in her expression. You okay? You seem off. Just thinking about the holidays. Oh, speaking of, I got you something. She grabbed one of the shopping bags and pulled out a wrapped box. Early present. Go ahead, open it. I stared at the box. It was wrapped in silver paper with a red bow, probably cost her $20 at the store. I didn't touch it. Come on, she urged. You're going to love it. I opened my laptop and turned the screen toward her. The Zillow listing for our apartment was displayed, complete with photos Patricia had taken that afternoon. Veronica's smile froze. What is this? Our apartment, listed as of 3 hours ago. She set the box down slowly. You listed our apartment without talking to me? I didn't think you'd mind, considering you're planning to leave anyway. The color drained from her face. What are you talking about? I stood up and walked to the counter, opening my phone to the recording Sarah had sent. Tuesday night, December 5th. You and Mike at his sister's apartment. I hit play. Veronica's voice filled the kitchen, casual and calculating, discussing her plans for New Year's Eve, for my company party, for serving divorce papers on Christmas morning. I watched her face as she listened. The shock, the calculation, the rapid assessment of how badly she'd been caught. That's taken out of context, she stammered. I stopped the recording. Really? What's the context for same thing I did with David and Greg? Her mouth opened, closed. You went through my things. I found photocopies of checks from your ex-husbands, $22,000 from David, $18,000 from Gregory, both made out to you during your divorces. I pulled up the bank statements on my laptop. And I found the account where you've been depositing my bonuses for the past 2 years. $43,800. Money you told me was going into our joint savings. Veronica's hands were shaking. You had no right. I had every right. We're married. Those were joint funds. I closed the laptop. I transferred $68,000 from our savings account last night. The rest went through this morning. I also sold your car. My name was on the loan, remember? And I filed for divorce at 8:47 p.m. yesterday. You'll be served papers within the next few days. She stared at me like I'd grown a second head. You can't do this. Already did. And David and Gregory? They're filing a joint civil suit for fraud. Turns out systematically lying about finances during divorce proceedings is illegal. Who knew? I picked up my jacket. Oh, and Mike? His sister Sarah recorded your conversation. She's willing to testify about what she heard. She's also going to report Mike to his HR department for the affair. Something about company policy regarding ethical conduct. Veronica's face had gone from pale to red. This is insane. You're ruining my life over a misunderstanding. No, you ruined your life by thinking I was too stupid to notice. I headed for the door. I'm staying at a hotel tonight. The apartment has showings tomorrow at 10 and 2. Be out by 9. Oh, and that gift you bought? Keep it. Consider it a souvenir. Where's my car? She shouted after me. Sold it. Check was for $3,000 after the loan payoff. I deposited it this afternoon. I closed the door on her screaming and took the elevator down to the garage. My hands didn't shake until I was in my car, pulling out onto the street. Then it hit me. The enormousness of what I'd just done. The bridge I'd just burned. But I didn't feel regret. I felt free. The hotel was a Holiday Inn near LaGuardia. Nothing fancy but clean and quiet. I checked in under my name, carried my overnight bag to a room on the 3rd floor, and sat on the edge of the bed, staring at my phone. 3 missed calls from Veronica. 5 texts, each more frantic than the last. We need to talk. This is crazy. You're overreacting. I can explain everything. Please, we can work this out. You're making a huge mistake. I blocked her number. Then I ordered room service, a burger and fries I actually ate this time, and opened my laptop to check email. David had responded. My lawyer filed the motion this afternoon. We should have a hearing date within 2 weeks. Gregory's on board. This is happening. Sarah sent a follow-up message. Mike just called me screaming. I told him I did what I had to do. He's furious, but I don't care. I hope this helps. And there was an email from Patricia. 3 showings scheduled for tomorrow. Interest is high. I think we'll have offers by Friday. I responded to all three, thanking them, and then I did something I hadn't done in months. I opened Netflix, found a movie I'd been wanting to watch, and let myself relax. The next morning, I woke up at 7 and checked my phone. No new messages from Veronica. The block was holding. But there was an email from a lawyer named Richard Stoltz. I represent David Pritchard and Gregory Talbot in their civil suit against Veronica Henderson. They've asked me to reach out regarding your divorce proceedings. If you're willing, I'd like to coordinate our cases. The more evidence we can compile, the stronger our position. Please call me at your earliest convenience. I called him from the hotel room. Mr. Stoltz, this is the person handling the divorce from Veronica Henderson. Thanks for calling. His voice was crisp, professional. I've reviewed the materials David and Gregory provided. This is a solid case for fraud. But I need to be straight with you. Fraud cases are difficult. We'll need ironclad documentation, witness testimony, and a clear pattern of behavior. I have bank statements showing systematic transfers to a hidden account. I have audio recordings of her admitting to doing this before. And I have 2 ex-husbands willing to testify about similar behavior during their marriages. That's a good start. I'll need copies of everything. The bank statements, the recording, any communications where she discusses financial matters. I'll also need to coordinate with your divorce attorney. I don't have one yet. Get one. Today. A good one. This is going to get complicated. I hung up and spent the next 2 hours researching divorce attorneys in Manhattan. I settled on a firm called Bennett & Associates, known for handling high-conflict divorces. I called them at 9:30. Bennett & Associates, how may I direct your call? I need to speak with someone about a divorce filing. It's urgent. Let me connect you with Mr. Bennett's secretary. 20 minutes later, I had an appointment for that afternoon. James Bennett was in his late 50s, with silver hair and the air of someone who'd seen every possible variation of human betrayal. His office overlooked Madison Avenue, all dark wood and leather chairs. So, he said, after I'd spent 30 minutes explaining everything, your wife has been married 3 times, systematically hidden assets during each divorce, and is planning to do it again with you. You filed for divorce, transferred joint funds, sold community property, and enlisted her ex-husbands in a fraud case against her. That's correct. He leaned back in his chair. You're either very smart or very reckless. Can I be both? He smiled. The good news is you acted quickly and documented everything. The bad news is she's going to fight dirty. If she's done this before, she knows how the system works. She'll accuse you of abuse, of controlling behavior, of financial misconduct. She'll try to paint herself as the victim. Let her try. I have recordings of her admitting everything. Recordings are tricky in New York. It's a one-party consent state, which means as long as one person in the conversation knows it's being recorded, it's legal. Who made the recordings? Mike's sister, Sarah. She overheard them talking and recorded it on her phone. She wasn't part of the conversation. No, she was in another room. Bennett grimaced. That's a problem. If she wasn't a party to the conversation and neither Mike nor Veronica consented to being recorded, that recording might not be admissible in court. We can try to use it, but a good defense attorney will challenge it. My stomach sank. What about the bank statements? Those are solid. Those will hold up. And if the ex-husbands can testify to similar patterns of behavior, that establishes intent. We can work with this. He opened a folder and started making notes. I'll need everything you have. Statements, emails, texts, anything that shows her planning this. And I'll coordinate with Richard Stoltz on the fraud case. If we can prove she committed fraud during previous divorces, it strengthens your position significantly. What are the chances she faces criminal charges? Depends on the DA. Fraud cases are hard to prosecute unless there's clear evidence of criminal intent. But civil penalties? Very likely. If we can prove she systematically deceived multiple spouses, she'll be on the hook for damages. And that hidden account? If we can prove she used your income to fund it without your knowledge, that's conversion of marital assets. We can pursue that aggressively. I left Bennett's office 2 hours later with a retainer agreement signed and a plan in motion. He'd file an emergency motion to freeze Veronica's assets, arguing that she was a flight risk given her history. He'd also coordinate with Stoltz to build a timeline of her behavior across all 3 marriages. On the way back to the hotel, my phone rang. Unknown number, I answered cautiously. Is this the person married to Veronica? A man's voice, unfamiliar. Who is this? My name's Mike Brennan. I think we need to talk. I almost hung up. But curiosity won. What do you want? Look, I didn't know she was married when we started, whatever this is. She told me she was separated, living apart, that you were just dragging out the paperwork. She lied. Yeah, I'm getting that now. He sounded exhausted. My sister told me everything. About the recording. About the ex-husbands. I feel like an idiot. You should. I know. And I'm sorry. I didn't set out to wreck someone's marriage. I don't know what I thought. He paused. She's been calling me nonstop, saying you're trying to ruin her, that you're making things up, that she needs money. I told her to leave me alone. Smart move. I just wanted you to know I'm done. With her. With all of it. And if you need me to testify or whatever, I will. What she did isn't right. I stopped walking. You'd testify? Yeah. I'm not proud of what I did. But she lied to both of us. If telling the truth helps you, I'll do it. I'll have my lawyer contact you. He gave me his number and hung up. I stood on the sidewalk, watching traffic flow by, and felt another piece of the puzzle click into place. By Thursday afternoon, Patricia called with news. 2 offers on the apartment. One at asking price, one $5,000 over. Both want to close quickly. Take the higher one. Done. I'll send over the paperwork. We're looking at closing in 3 weeks if everything goes smoothly. Friday morning, I received a certified letter at the hotel. Veronica's response to the divorce filing. Her lawyer, someone named Andrea Fletcher, had crafted a masterpiece of fiction. According to the response, I was financially controlling, emotionally abusive, and had stolen community property. She was requesting full division of assets, including funds I'd transferred without authorization, and demanding I return the proceeds from the car sale. I forwarded it to Bennett. His response was immediate. This is standard. Don't worry. We'll respond with our own filing detailing her fraud and financial misconduct. Let her lawyer spin whatever story they want. The evidence speaks for itself. On Monday, December 18th, things escalated. I got a call from a Detective Martinez with the NYPD's Financial Crimes Unit. I'm calling regarding a complaint filed by Veronica Henderson. She's alleging you stole money from her account and sold her car without permission. My blood went cold. That's not accurate. Can you come in for a statement? I'd like to hear your side. I called Bennett immediately. Don't say anything to the police without me present, he said. I'll set up a meeting and come with you. The meeting happened Wednesday afternoon at a precinct in Midtown. Martinez was a woman in her 40s with skeptical eyes and a notepad covered in cramped handwriting. "Walk me through what happened," she said, after Bennett and I sat down. I did. The entire story, start to finish. The overheard conversation, the hidden account, the checks from ex-husbands, the recordings, everything. Bennett provided copies of the bank statements, the divorce filing, and statements from David and Gregory. Martinez listened without interrupting. When I finished, she sat back and studied me. "So your position is that you had legal access to the joint account and the car because you were a co-signer on both?" "That's correct." "And the money she's claiming you stole was actually marital funds you had every right to transfer?" "Yes." She looked at Bennett. "Is that how you see it?" "Absolutely. He acted within his legal rights as a co-owner of the account and the vehicle. If Ms. Henderson has an issue with that, it's a civil matter, not criminal. He violated no laws." Martinez made a note. "What about these checks from her ex-husbands? How does that factor in?" "It establishes a pattern," Bennett said. "She's done this before. Concealed assets, lied about finances, and then taken everything she could during divorce proceedings. My client is the third victim." "Alleged victim," Martinez corrected. "But I get your point." She closed her notepad. "I'll review everything and follow up with Ms. Henderson. If what you're telling me checks out, this complaint won't go anywhere." Bennett and I left the precinct and walked back toward his office. "That went well," he said. "She's not going to pursue charges. The evidence is too clear." "What about Veronica?" "She's desperate. Desperate people make mistakes. Keep documenting everything. If she contacts you, don't respond. Let me handle all communication." On December 22nd, Sarah called. "Mike's being investigated at work," she said. "Someone filed an ethics complaint about the affair. His company has a policy about relationships that create conflicts of interest. They're putting him on administrative leave pending review." "I didn't file a complaint." "I know. I did. I told them I had evidence my brother was involved with a married woman and that it was affecting his judgment at work. They took it seriously." "Why would you do that?" "Because he needs consequences, and because Veronica keeps calling him, trying to drag him back into her mess. If he's on leave, maybe he'll finally wake up and realize what she is." Christmas came and went. I spent it in the hotel room, ordering Chinese food and watching basketball. Veronica tried calling from different numbers. I blocked them all. On December 28th, I got an email from Richard Stoltz. "The judge approved our motion to reopen David's divorce case. We have a hearing scheduled for January 12th. Gregory's case is moving forward too. Both men have given depositions detailing the financial misconduct. We're building a strong case." And then New Year's Eve arrived. I was supposed to be at my company party. Instead, I was sitting in my hotel room, scrolling through news on my phone, when Bennett called. "I thought you'd want to know," he said. "Veronica was arrested this afternoon." I sat up straight. "For what?" "Attempted fraud. Turns out she tried to open a new credit card in your name using your social security number and forged documents. The bank flagged it as suspicious and reported it. She's being charged with identity theft and fraud?" I didn't know what to say. "It gets better," Bennett continued. "Detective Martinez got a warrant to search her hidden account. Guess what they found? Not just your bonuses. There's money in there that traces back to David and Gregory. Transfers that happened right before their divorce is finalized. The DA is now looking at wire fraud charges. How much time could she face?" If convicted, 5 to 15 years depending on how the charges shake out. Wire fraud is federal. Identity theft is serious. And if they can prove she did this systematically across multiple marriages, they'll throw the book at her. I hung up and sat in the dark hotel room, listening to fireworks explode outside. Somewhere across the city, people were celebrating, kissing at midnight, making resolutions. I thought about Veronica sitting in a cell, probably screaming about how unfair it all was. I thought about David and Gregory finally getting justice. I thought about Mike facing his own consequences. And I thought about Sarah, who'd blown up her relationship with her brother to do the right thing. My phone buzzed. A text from Patricia. Happy New Year. Closing is scheduled for January 8th. Congratulations on the fresh start. Fresh start. That's exactly what this was. By mid-January, the pieces had all fallen into place. The apartment sold. I moved into a smaller place in Brooklyn, a one-bedroom with exposed brick and better insulation. David and Gregory's civil suit moved forward, with Veronica facing damages in the hundreds of thousands. The criminal charges were proceeding, with a trial date set for March. Mike lost his job. Sarah didn't speak to him anymore. Veronica's lawyer dropped her as a client when she couldn't pay. And me? I went back to work, processed claims, dealt with angry clients, lived my life. People at the office asked what happened. I told them it was personal and left it at that. Janet, my supervisor, pulled me aside one day in February. I don't know what you went through, she said, but you seem different. Lighter, somehow. I am, I said. And I meant it. The divorce finalized in March, the same week Veronica's trial began. I didn't attend. I didn't need to. Bennett handled everything, and when it was over, I got an email with the final decree attached. Dissolved. Done. Over. Veronica was convicted on 4 counts of fraud and 2 counts of identity theft. The judge sentenced her to 8 years in federal prison, with the possibility of parole after 5. David and Gregory won their civil suit, and the court ordered her to repay everything she'd taken, plus damages. Between the criminal restitution and the civil judgment, she'd be paying them back for the rest of her life. I ran into Sarah once at a coffee shop in the village. She was with someone, a guy who looked at her like she was the only person in the room. Hey, she said, surprised. How are you? Good, really good. You? Better. I heard about the verdict. Yeah. Mike's still not talking to me, but I'm okay with that. She glanced at the guy beside her. Some bridges are worth burning. Thanks for what you did. I know it cost you. It was the right thing to do, she smiled. Take care of yourself. You too. I walked out of the coffee shop and into the spring sunshine. The city was alive with people rushing to wherever they needed to be, everyone with their own stories, their own dramas. I was just another face in the crowd, and for the first time in months, that felt exactly right. Veronica had thought I was predictable, boring, too stupid to see what was right in front of me. She'd been wrong on all counts. Sometimes the quiet ones are the ones you should worry about. Sometimes the guy who processes insurance claims knows exactly how to process a betrayal. And sometimes the gift under the tree is exactly what you deserve.